welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. I miss your beautiful faces, so let's get right to it. If you guys couldn't tell, I really like this jacket, so you're gonna see me in a couple videos with it. Also, check this out. I also have this other light that I just installed. So as you can tell by the title of this video actually isn't about jackets or light. It's about how to edit in Photoshop. If you guys aren't already, go follow my page on Instagram. ArcShot Studio is actually my photography page, not my personal page. So something a lot of people don't really understand about photography is that it's 50% of actually taking the photo, and then it's 50% of putting your own style into it. So every photographer has a different way of editing their photos. You know, some people use Photoshop, some people use Lightroom, and everyone has a different feel to it. You know, some people might use colder colors, warmer colors, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty about it. There's always incorporating new things to it, new styles, new methods. So for today's video, I actually have a picture picked out. Let me open it up real quick. So the picture I'm gonna choose to edit today is actually a picture of Julia that we took about like 4 months ago, back when it was fall. We were actually at Piedmont Park, which is in Atlanta. To start off, I kind of want to give it a fall look. Since this picture was taken in fall, I want to give it like that kind of feel to it. So I'm going to start off by going to the temperature. I'm actually using a Photoshop, what is this, 2017? I'm using the Creative Cloud version of this. It doesn't really matter what version you use as long as it supports camera raw. So I'm going to actually boost up the temperature to about 5,900. The picture does look a little dark to me. The background isn't blown out at all. And that's exactly what I was going for. Like, you might look at this picture and say, you know, it's really dark, but that's actually the way I decided to take it. So that's something that as a photographer, you kind of need to like realize, you know, if Julia had been like well exposed, if you could see her well, look, the background would have been like completely blown out, you know? So I'm gonna set the background to about, I'm gonna set that about to 0.6. Contrast, I want to give it a bit more contrast. So contrast actually, it makes your darks darker and your lights lighter. Just so the background won't look too blown out, I'm actually gonna bring down the highlights about negative 58. All right. And I do want to make Julia look a bit more like standing out, so I'm actually going to boost up the shadows. I'm going to boost that up to about like 58. Alright, perfect. Looking at the picture right now, it looks a lot better than what we started. The only problem I really have with this picture is that Julia, I don't know if you guys could tell, but what she's like, how she looks right now, it doesn't look super natural. So I'm gonna go down to the blacks, and I'm actually gonna crunch down the blacks. I'm gonna make them look a bit more darker. I'm gonna do about negative 43, and that's gonna make it look a bit more natural. Negative 41's fine. And I'm gonna overall make the picture look a bit more brighter. I'm gonna go up to the whites, and I'm gonna boost that up to about 35. Alright, and that looks a lot better to me than what we started with. If we actually go down to this little box right here, we could actually toggle between like the before and after. So when we first started with this image, this is what you had. So when we first started with the image, you can tell it looks like really dark. And the background looks fine. What I mean is like all this blue and all this like, all the bright areas, they're not completely white, and that's exactly what you want. And we managed to keep it like that. Like, it doesn't look blown out. If you click right here, it tells you what areas of the photos are overexposed and underexposed. According to like Camera Raw, it's saying that our image is like pretty overexposed, but I don't think it's like too bad. Like, it doesn't look completely white out. Like, you still have that tint of blue in it. Alright, so I'm not going to do anything really too fancy to this photo. I'm going to come up to the HSL grayscale here. It's going to be your fourth panel. I do want to make it look a bit more fall-like. So the yellows in the picture, I set them to -2. And I brought down the yellows to about -20. And the greens about to -52. So basically, I just made... I took away the green light colors, you know, like like I mentioned, I'm trying to make this photo look a lot like if it was taken in the fall, which it was. If you go to the before and after, you can like really tell like in the background with the greens. I made the green look more orange, so it really gives off like a fall sense to it. Another thing I decided to do with this picture is I actually took out the vignetting. Vignetting, you know, you have like this black around like the border and edges of your photo. And overall, I'm just trying to make like the photo a bit more brighter, so I took that away. And this photo actually looks pretty good to me. I'm actually gonna go ahead and open it in Photoshop and add my last touches to it. So now that I have my picture opened up in Photoshop, I want to add my last final touches to this photo. I'm gonna unlock this photo and I'm gonna go ahead and create a new layer. And I actually went on Google Chrome and I was looking through some fall color palettes just to give like my photo a bit of theme. So I found one that I really liked and I'm just gonna go ahead and drag it into my photo. That's the reason I created a new layer, so that the color palette isn't on top of my actual photo, but instead it's like on this new layer. I'm just gonna keep it here, to be honest. I'm just gonna click OK. What I'm gonna do is kind of like color grade my image just to give it that last kind of oomph to it. So next I'm gonna press B to get my brush tool, and then I'm gonna click on my color picker and I'm gonna just select on the dark red, dark orange color. And after that, I'm just gonna click on a new layer and I'm gonna use this dark red just to kind of brush around the background a bit. And I'm gonna brush it something like, nothing too major. This is gonna be just kind of light. I'm gonna leave this like that for now. Obviously this looks disgusting right now. Literally this looks like I smeared ketchup all over the photo. But I'm not done with it yet. I'm gonna click a new layer, and then for this layer 2 I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna click on a lighter shade of orange, and this I'm gonna kind of highlight more on what needs to be brought out a bit. So I'm gonna click on these oranges, and it's okay if I get a little bit on her hair. That kind of gives like the feeling that sunlight is like hitting the back of her head. So that's something I really like. And then I'm gonna make my brush a little bit smaller by clicking on this bracket tool, and I'm just gonna smear a little bit more right here. And I'm just kind of getting this all over like where orange is already like seen. So I'm gonna get some right here. And then I'm gonna click on a new layer. And I kind of want to add maybe a little bit of gray to it. So this photo already looks pretty fall to me, since a lot of the colors that are already on this palette, you could kind of see them like in the photo. Like Julia, she was pretty good in like color coordinating. You could see some of the reds on her lips, some orange in the backgrounds, and I'm just gonna add a bit more gray, just kind of around her, you know. See how that looks. Okay, make this a little bigger. Okay, so now that we covered the whole picture, I'm actually gonna click on each layer. I'm gonna start off with the reds that we first did, and I'm gonna change the blending mode to let's change that to soft light. And right now you can see that looks really like harsh, so I'm gonna turn down the opacity. I'm gonna do something light, about, I want to say like 16, or maybe like 10. We'll keep it 10 for now. We might adjust that a bit. And then I'm gonna click on the oranges that we have, and I'm gonna click on that, and I'm not gonna bring that down too much, maybe down to like 22. And then I'm gonna click on this next layer, and that I'm really gonna turn down, maybe like 5. So if we zoom in, you can actually see some of this orange kind of smeared here. I'm actually gonna erase some of that, so I'm gonna click on that layer, and I'm just gonna brush gently and kind of get rid of that, so it's not too like noticeable. Alright, so here's the before and after. This is how we actually brought the photo into Photoshop. It doesn't look as like vibrant, so when you actually turn on the layers, you could really tell, like boom. And you see how like the picture has like a lot more oomph to it. Like you see it more, like the orange really starts to pop out. I think the last thing I really want to do is kind of bring out Julia a little bit more. I'm gonna turn off this little color palette since I don't really think we need it anymore. Alright, and now the last thing I really want to do is make Julia stand out a little bit more from the background, because I still think, like, to me she still looks a little dark. So I'm going to click on the layer and I'm going to press Command J on my keyboard just to make a duplicate copy. From there I'm actually going to go into a new adjustment layer and I'm going to go into exposure, and then I'm just going to make her a little bit brighter. So about that looks good. Like I said, I was only looking at Julia. If you look at the background, you can tell that it looks a lot more blown out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my exposure. I'm going to click on this little chain right here. And then I'm going to go to my eraser. And I'm going to make sure that the eraser is a bit more soft, since this brush is pretty hard. So I'm going to click on the soft one. And the next thing I'm going to do is just kind of erase the background. What this is doing is erasing the exposure. It kind of separates the layer that we created from the layer under it. So everything, I'm basically erasing everything so that the only thing exposed is Julia right now. So we're just gonna kind of trace around her, and that's about it. Now Julia, if you like go back and forth, you see like she did look pretty dark here, and now she looks a bit more brighter. I feel like that kind of brings your eye closer to Julia. Alright, so now that I'm done with all the editing, I'm actually going to save this and upload this onto Instagram. So what I'm going to do is click C on the keyboard, and I'm going to choose the crop up here in the top left corner down to 4:5, which is what Instagram posts as. So this is really helpful, so it gives me like an idea of what it's going to look like on Instagram. And I'm just going to adjust it to my liking, maybe a little bit more headroom. And I'm just going to click on this check mark. I'm going to click Command Shift S on my keyboard. I'm going to go down and save this as a JPEG. And then I'm going to go down to desktop and I'm just going to save. I'm going to leave my photo at maximum just so I can have like the best quality possible. Click OK. And there it is. So I do hope that you guys enjoy this video. I'm planning on doing more like Photoshop stuff, more Premiere stuff, showing you like how I edit my photos and videos. Leave a like if you really enjoyed this video, share it to a friend, and subscribe for more. One last thing that I forgot to mention is that you can't edit all of your photos like this. In the beginning, when I edited, I was actually using Camera Raw. If you are using your DSLR camera, you're gonna have to switch your camera to RAW mode, and you can do that by going into your image settings and setting your file format to RAW. If you shoot in small or large, you're not going to be able to have that. When you shoot in small and large, your photos are actually compressed. So I would recommend shooting in RAW just so you can have more capabilities when you edit in post-production. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like if you did, comment down below what you'd like to see next, and like always, stay awesome. Peace.